What is up, ladies and gents? It's your boy Jermaine, Event Main on MMA, and today we are checking in with the GOAT ITP MMA Live. It's about Dana White. I did see this post-fight press conference about the Song Yadong Henry Cejudo card this weekend, and yeah, it was clear, like, his disdain for Henry. He can't stand Henry. Other fighters who aren't even in the promotion, he's like, oh, this guy loves that guy. He loves that guy. But we'll watch it right here, but I'll react throughout and at the end. But it's clear Dana does not rock with Henry Cejudo.
Did you know, as Henry's getting to minute 4, minute 5 with the eye poke, that he's probably not going to be able to continue?
Yeah.
Do you think he was kind of like gaming the
He's
5 minutes to see if
fuming.
it would come back, or do you think he was just desperate to continue? What do you think of his decision-making in the moment?
I have no idea. I'll let him answer all those questions.
He's shaking.
Only he can answer those questions.
It was a good
I
competitor.
don't know if he thought, if I stop here, is this a DQ and
Look at him.
no contest, or I
I
don't know
like
what
to
he was
zoom
thinking,
in.
or maybe he can't see.
All right, so
Or
I really
maybe
get the
he
feeling
can't
that Dana
see.
White is convinced that Henry Cejudo tried to take the easy way out during this past Saturday's main event, and to a larger extent, just based on Dana's responses throughout this press conference, I really get the feeling that he doesn't like Henry at all. So in this
Yeah.
clip that I just showed you, this is Dana's classic I don't believe my fighter, but I don't want to call them a liar type response. In fact, this is eerily similar to when he was asked if he thought Arman Tsarukyan was actually too injured to fight after he pulled out of UFC 311.
See how this plays out for him next year.
You feel like he could have competed? You feel like he could have competed tonight?
I have no idea. I don't know that. Only he knows that. Only he can answer those questions.
Also,
Yeah,
look at the expression on Dana's face as he ponders if Henry was trying to game the system in order to score a DQ win. This is the shit-eating grin of a man that isn't buying what Henry was trying to sell. If you guys watched the video that I uploaded yesterday, then you'll already know what my take on this situation is. I personally don't think that Henry was trying to bait a DQ or a no contest, but it seems like me and Dana might have to agree to disagree here. Also, I love how Dana slightly adds, or maybe he couldn't see, after heavily speculating on if Cejudo was trying to weasel his way out of a loss.
Or maybe he
he
couldn't
can't
see.
see.
And if you guys aren't picking up on these details and you think I'm reaching, then that's okay. But
That's
honestly, I
awesome.
feel like I've seen Dana make enough delusional excuses throughout the years, especially for his golden geese like John Jones, Conor McGregor, and Ronda Rousey, to be able to see through when he doesn't have his fighters back.
Obviously, Henry and Song seem like they want to have the rematch. Is that kind of what you're thinking, that they should run that one back? Or
Not at all.
Not at all? Okay.
Not even a
at
little
all.
bit.
Why is that?
I just don't want to see it again.
Okay.
Do you?
No,
Yeah.
I thought it was a good fight leading up. It
You want to see it again? We should probably do it in a couple months.
Yes.
depends on the eye, right?
Yeah.
So, okay. All right.
Yeah,
we
he's
got
not
your answer on
rocking
that.
with it.
Tell me this smug motherfucker doesn't have disdain for how this fight ended. You cannot convince me that Dana isn't harboring either resentment or frustration or both towards Henry for making the decisions that he did in the cage. Let's not forget here that this is the same guy that defended his choice to match up John Jones with Stipe Miocic solely based on the reasoning that they both wanted to fight each other.
So I have two legends in the sport that wanted to fight each other. These guys are lined up. One guy gets hurt. And this is the fight that they both want. What do you do? You don't show the guys the respect. And I guarantee you this, if Stipe wins, Stipe's going to retire. You know what I mean? This will be Stipe's last fight. So are you
So
the
why
media
book
telling
it?
me I should just tell Stipe to fuck off and, good luck to you, Stipe. Right off into sunset. Go fight some fires and that's a wrap for you, buddy.
Yeah.
And then in the case of Song versus Cejudo, where you had both guys agree to a rematch immediately after the fight in the octagon, Dana is taking a hard stance against it. This is truly the smirk that tells 1,000 words, and just based on the expression on his face, it just tells me that he thinks that Henry was trying to score a DQ win, and Dana will do whatever it takes to not give Henry the fight that he wants. Mind you, in this very same press conference, Dana confirmed that the UFC is trying to set up Merab versus Sean O'Malley too because, and I'm not bullshitting you here, they both want to fight each other.
In terms of the bantamweight division, Sean O'Malley looking likely to rematch Merab, right? And we just got the Sandhagen announcement too. I'm kind of curious how that matchmaking came to be. Was the idea always, again, I don't think the O'Malley one is official yet, right? But we're leaning towards that. How did the bantamweight division shake?
They want to fight each other. I think people want to see it.
Yeah.
Now, frankly, I can only speculate as to why Dana's being so resolute
crazy.
and not wanting to give these two a rematch. That honestly makes a lot of sense to make, but seeing as it's Dana White that we're talking about, I think that general pettiness is the most logical answer. And frankly, does a rematch between Song and Cejudo not make about 1,000,000 times more sense than a rematch between Merab and Sean O'Malley? The way that I see it, it, Dana's still holding on to a personal vendetta that stems from a couple of years ago, but I'll touch on that in just a moment.
A significant eye poke like that, do you believe a point should have been taken?
If you thought it was intentional. If you thought he intentionally poked him in the eye. Do you believe it was intentional?
That's a crazy
Yes.
thing.
Why would he poke him in the eye? He was doing pretty well. Yeah, listen, eye pokes are never good. But like you said, they happen a lot. And fights do continue after eye pokes.
Jesus.
I mean, I don't know. I'd have to look and see how many fights were actually stopped due to an eye poke.
What the fuck?
Not many.
Now, I'm not totally sure if
Not
Dana
many.
said this to intentionally make Henry look bad, but this makes Henry look bad. Moreover, Dana doesn't even try to
He's the
disguise his
crazy
response here
blinking.
and definitely calls out Cejudo for quitting. And yes, Dana is right when he says that very few fights end due to eye pokes, but I'm just going to throw out a hypothetical here. Do we think that Dana would have taken this same stance if, say, Ronda Rousey got brutally poked in the eye by Amanda Nunes when they fought back in 2016? Or what if Conor McGregor got eye poked by Khabib and wasn't able to continue fighting back in 2018? There is no way that Dana would have taken this same tone with them the same way that he is here with Cejudo. If Ronda or Conor got screwed over by an eye poke, Dana would be talking about how it was such an unfortunate accident that derailed a massive fight, and he would probably declare at the post-fight press conference that he and his team are already working to set up an immediate rematch. However, when it comes to Henry, who is not only not a pay-per-view star, but has also been a pain in the ass for Dana in the past and probably present, the disdain that he has for him is palpable and honestly pretty hilarious. When Dana decides that he doesn't like a fighter, you will never ever hear him say anything nice about them, and there's a 0% chance that he'll ever come to their defense. But on the other hand, when a fighter earns Dana's good graces, he will do backflips in order to preserve their image, even if it ventures into abject absurdity. And for those of you who are unaware as to why Dana doesn't like Henry, then let's do a little bit of a history lesson really quickly. Let's rewind the clocks back to May of 2020. Cejudo was on a legendary 4-fight run, which included beating Demetrius Johnson and TJ Dillashaw at flyweight, and then Marlon Moraes and Dominic Cruz at bantamweight. Honestly, Henry was on top of the world, seeing as during this run he was able to capture and defend his title at both weight classes. But in the weeks leading up to the Cruz fight, Henry was making a ton of public statements about how he was unhappy with how much he was getting paid by the UFC, which is never a good way to make Dana like you. And as we all know by now,
That's pretty much what happened with Kevin Lee, man. Kevin Lee was trying to campaign to come back to the UFC before signing with the GFL, and people were like, why don't they want Kevin Lee? Kevin Lee was talking dirty about the UFC. Kevin Lee was talking dirty about the UFC and the pay. He was saying how Eagle FC was paying him. He was finally getting paid the kind of money he felt like he should have been paid. UFC always underpaid him. They ain't rocking with him no more. They still had Henry contracted for some fights, but he did the same thing as Kevin Lee.
after stopping Cruz in the second round, Henry made a shocking announcement in the ring that he was retiring from the sport. And in most cases, a double champ retiring in this fashion would elicit a positive response from fans and fighters alike, but immediately people online were calling this a hardball negotiation tactic. Literally moments after the announcement, you had John Jones saying that Henry was playing the game with Dana, and you had Ariel Helwani spilling inside information about how Henry wanted to get paid more. Not only that, at the damn post-fight press conference, Cejudo made it clear that money talks and he'd be willing to come back if the UFC increased his pay.
Is there anything that would make you reconsider? I mean, if Dana comes to you and says, "Wait a minute, let's fatten up this check a little bit. You know, all the cringe
He shouldn't
is
have
working.
announced
people
the
are buying
retirement.
into the king of cringe. We need you around."
Yeah, he knows the number. He knows the number, and but I really do want to walk away. But like I said, man, money talks. Money talks. But I'm happy with the UFC. You know, I want to start that new chapter in my life. And
I'm sorry, but this was a dumb move. To be so transparent and obvious about trying to hardball the UFC while also throwing two divisions into chaos is admittedly a ballsy play, but there is just no way that Dana was going to take kindly to it. And then for the next 2 years, Henry would continue to make public statements where he revealed he was negotiating with the UFC while also complaining that Dana was trying to underpay him. Then when Cejudo finally made his comeback, he was given an immediate title shot against then bantamweight champion Aljamain Sterling. And even though he was so close to getting the judge's decision, he just didn't do enough to get the win, which is a shame for Henry, because if he was able to clutch up just one more round in that fight, then we would have seen the greatest fake retirement negotiation tactic play in the history of the UFC. He probably would have gotten a fight with Sean O'Malley, and that fight would have sold pretty well, and in all likelihood his plan to get paid more would have paid off. However, fast forward to 2025, and now Cejudo's on a 3-fight losing streak where his base payment of $150,000 is lower than that of Mackenzie Dern's, who gets paid $250,000 per fight. And let's be real here,
dude, he was a 2-division champion and he only makes $150,000. Like, He wanted more money. He shouldn't have retired. I feel like after the Dominic Cruz win, he probably could have negotiated for more money before his next fight, but I don't know, maybe he was already in that process. But he had just beat Dominic Cruz in a highlight fashion with his knee. Made Cruz look crazy in there. I don't think he should have announced the retirement. It would have worked a lot better for him, but
A huge reason for Henry's current pay is directly tied to the shenanigans that he tried to pull with Dana, and this is Dana getting back at him for being a pain in the ass. And now that I think about it, it does make a lot of sense for Dana to believe that Henry was trying to game the system during his fight with Song, seeing as Henry tried to game the system to increase his pay by faking his retirement. In Dana's perspective, it's probably not far-fetched in the slightest to think that a guy who faked retiring for 2 years would also fake being injured in order to steal a much-needed win so that he can get back into the win column. And seeing as Henry is almost certainly on Dana's bad side, it is not shocking at all that Dana doesn't seem to have any sympathy for how the fight on Saturday ended. Yeah, I don't know. At the end of the day, I think it's really funny how Dana continues to show his blatant favoritism, and I guess in this case, unfavoritism towards the fighters he does and doesn't get along with. We've all seen how petty this guy can be, whether it be towards Ariel Helwani or Oscar De La Hoya, but it's always a sight to see when he develops a personal beef with one of his fighters. We've seen it in the past in cases like Frank Shamrock, Tito Ortiz, and Francis Ngannou, where he'll do everything in his might to erase these guys from UFC history. And even though it doesn't seem like he hates Henry nearly as much as he hates those guys, it's pretty clear to me that when Henry cries, Dana laughs. Anyways, that is the video for today. Definitely let me know what you think about Dana's press conference responses. Do you agree that he hates Henry? And
shout out to ITP MMA Live. Both channels, ITP MMA and ITP MMA Live. Yeah, it's very clear, man. He cannot stand Henry Cejudo. Henry announced his retirement, but I feel like if that's what Henry was getting paid the whole time, I mean, I don't know, because as a champion of 2 divisions, isn't he bringing in millions for like pay-per-view shares? You know what I'm saying? Hypothetically. I mean, I guess he wants his base pay to be raised, and I don't see why a 2-division champion can't have his base pay raised. The champion right now is Merab. Merab and Pantoja. You know what I'm saying? He could have fought. I think he could still. Henry could have a good fight against Sean O'Malley. I'd like to see Henry versus Sean O'Malley soon. I thought Henry looked good in that fight, but this man hates him, and we're not going to see the rematch. It's clear. I don't think we're going to see the rematch. I don't know how many fights Henry has left on his contract, but I doubt he re-ups. I doubt he would want to. I bet he would be strongly against bringing Henry back. I think he's like 38 anyway. So he might be GFL bound like before too long. You know what I'm saying? I was trying to think of what was the Maroon 5 album. Something before too long. Won't be soon before too long type shit. I'm a Maroon 5 type nigga. Or at least I was. I ain't listened to that shit in years. But, I mean, I listen to the old shit. Anywho. Let me know what you guys think about Dana White's hatred, clear hatred for Henry Cejudo. Or do you guys disagree? Do you feel like me, or if you feel like ITP MMA and myself are reading into this a little too much? But I felt like that was a great fight. I was really enjoying that fight up until, like, outside of all the fouls from Song Yadong. This fight kept getting stopped because of Song Yadong's actions, kicking Henry in his Yadong multiple times, poking both of this man's eyes. And Dana's just like, nah, man, we don't take a point for that. He was winning that fight. Let it be. Like, that's insane. Rules are suggestions. Rules are just suggestions, and favoritism is definitely a thing that they practice and preach. But let me know what you guys think in the comments. Thank you guys for being here once again. Hit that like, hit that subscribe, and I will see you guys. When I see you guys, I'll holla.